recital for this year. And I'm going to be punting to our Director of Music Ministries in just a second here, but I wanted to give you some direction about our restroom facilities. If for any reason you need to use the restrooms, they are through our sanctuary doors to your right, all the way through our lobbies. The women's room is first on the right through the lobby, and then through the next lobby is the men's room, also on the right. We're really glad that you've been able to join us today, and without further ado, let me introduce our Director of Music Ministry by video today.
Thank you, Pastor Greg. Good afternoon. My name is Benjamin Budiel, and I'm the Director of Traditional Music and Worship here at Ingomar United Methodist Church. I wish you a good afternoon, but it's not exactly afternoon where I am, and in fact, it's not even Sunday where I am. Anyway, I want to welcome you all to this afternoon's recital featuring Dr. Edward Allen Moore at the organ. Before we get started, a few things. If you flip over your program, you can see on the back our featured sponsor, that's Family Wealth Management. We give thanks for that group and Doug Knable and Kelly Kennedy, who have given so generously to help make this series happen. So you can learn more about them on the back of your program. You can learn more about our other sponsors out in the narthex, which should be this way in the ether. We've got a banner out there that features all of our sponsors, and also out in the narthex is a basket. I'm only going to say this one time because I can only say it one time. But there's a little basket in which you can give a free will offering as you feel moved. Your free will offering will not only help the music ministry of this church, but it will also help our future summer recital series offerings. So please consider giving. Without any further ado, help me welcome to the bench Dr. Edward Allen Moore.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for coming out on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I was supposed to play last month, July 14th, but for the first time since all of this began, I came down with COVID. So thanks to everyone here at the church for being so flexible and allowing me to reschedule for today. So July 14th, Bastille Day. So I had France on my mind when I was planning this program, and the upcoming Olympics a couple weeks after that. So we began the program with a piece by Henri Moulet, a carillon sortie, or a piece that is reminiscent of carillon themes or motives, and a sortie, which is used at the end of Mass as an exit piece. So thank you for not exiting, but I thought it would be a great way to start the program with a nice festive toccata. And so now we go to the other side of the channel from France to England with early 20th century composer Harold Darke and well-known organist, composer in London, and wrote many pieces for solo organ, including this meditation on Brother James Eyre, or oftentimes we know it and sing it in the hymnals with the text from the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord's my shepherd." And throughout this piece, Darke uses all the different textures available to an organist and allows the organist to explore all the different sounds and dynamic levels and registers available on a very beautiful and eclectic instrument such as this. So enjoy Harold Darke's meditation on Brother James Eyre. And so now we hop back over the channel again and back to the 19th century for a piece by César Franck. Franck was organist at the Church of Sainte Clotilde in Paris and professor at the Paris Conservatory. Was a prolific composer, but for the organ, not a lot number-wise, but great in scope and importance to the organ literature. He wrote a bunch of miniature pieces, smaller pieces that were mainly intended for the harmonium, but are often played on the organ. And then 12 large pieces, of which this next composition comes from these 12 pieces. And of these 12 pieces, the last 3 were composed shortly before his death in 1890. They're a set of 3 chorales. Now, a chorale, or a hymn tune, serves as the basis for each of these pieces, but it's not a pre-existing tune, or not a tune that you might come out of church humming on a Sunday morning or out of Mass in this case. Original tunes that Franck weaves throughout these pieces and transforms them in a number of different ways. And so this is the first of those 3 chorales in E major by César Franck. I, along with many of my colleagues throughout the years, have set alarms for the wee hours of the morning to get up to watch royal weddings and royal funerals and all kinds of royal events because we wanted to see what the music was going to be all about. And so last year, I know several other people here in the room today did the same thing, set the alarm to wake up to watch the coronation of King Charles III. And the music featured throughout was, of course, classics and music from centuries ago that have become standards for royal festivities, the church festivities. But also, this coronation was unique because it featured a very large array of newly composed pieces by all types of composers. And one of those pieces that was featured in the pre-service music is called Voices of the World by British composer Ian Farrington. And, so watching it live and thinking, wow, what is this piece? It's a very, very cool piece. And so later on that day, I logged onto his website, and it referenced, this new composition and talked a little bit about it. But couldn't find anything more about it. So I emailed him, and lo and behold, within a day or two, he replied. And by then, the piece was available on his website electronically as a PDF. So within a few days of the coronation, I had my summer project for 2023 was to learn this new piece, Voices of the World. And so what Ian Farrington did with this piece was to take an assortment of 9 tunes from Commonwealth nations. So England is part of the Commonwealth nations, and all of these nations were represented throughout the coronation festivities. So I will give you the countries and see if you can follow along throughout. But it begins with a very jazzy introduction that comes back throughout the piece as an interlude, and Ian Farrington's music is heavily influenced by jazz. And then he goes into the first tune from Nigeria, then we move to Zambia, then Ghana, South Africa, India, Pakistan, then we move to this hemisphere with Canada, Jamaica, and then clear around the world to Australia, and finally referencing the United Kingdom. And I will say that is probably one of the briefest references, and so we'll see if you can catch that one. But here is Voices of the World, composed in 2023 by Ian Farrington. I hope you could follow along and you heard all different 9 of the tunes. But again, thank you for coming out, and thank you to Pastor for the introduction, and to, I guess Ben was up there somewhere on the screen. I couldn't really hear him backstage, but thanks to everyone here at Ingomar for hosting this series. There's one more left next week, which is Ben's works, Ben's compositions. So please come back for that next week as well. So to conclude the program, we hop back over the channel once more, back to France. And many of you may have been doing what I was doing a few weeks ago, watching the opening ceremonies for the Olympics, and tonight to watch the replay of the closing ceremonies that have already happened, I believe, this afternoon. But the boats carrying the different athletes from the different nations were floating down the River Seine, and they passed right by the Cathedral of Notre Dame, which is not yet reopened after a devastating fire several years ago, but will be soon. But you could see it in all its glory. And throughout the centuries, many prominent musicians have held forth there at Notre Dame, including Louis Vierne, who was organist there in the earlier part of the 20th century. And Louis Vierne and Charles-Marie Widor are 2 French composers who are very much responsible for the genre of the organ symphony. And that is, trying to think, well, the orchestra has a multi-movement, large-scaled work, and so now here we have the similar thing for the organ. And at least with these French composers and these French organ symphonies, they had an organ builder, Aristide Cavaillé-Coll, who was building a very symphonic-styled organ. And these pieces were written to utilize these sounds. Now, we aren't in a large French cathedral, but we do have many sounds that lend themselves very well to these pieces. And so I have chosen 2 of my favorite movements. Vierne wrote 6 symphonies for the organ, and this is from his 3rd symphony, and it's the final 2 movements. Lyrical, lush adagio, followed by finale that at sometimes can sound rather demonic. And but stick with it, because once we get to the final page, it transforms into this glorious major key and just a rousing finale to this piece. It was actually at the organ of Notre Dame where Vierne died. He was playing a concert and fell over, and his foot supposedly hit low E. I'm going to try to avoid reenacting that part today. But thank you again for coming, and for everyone watching online, thanks for tuning in. And here are the final 2 movements of Louis Vierne's 3rd Symphony for organ.